Hello, what is up, everybody? My name is Mario Pichardo. Today's story comes out of Reuters. It says pro Europe vote fragments but limits nationalist gains in EU election. So, the first thing that I noticed, the first off, it's Reuters, so no one's going to be surprised. But the way that it's written here, I'm just going to read the first two paragraphs. Parties committed to strengthening the European Union held on to 2/3 of seats in the EU Parliament. Official projections from the bloc's elections showed on Sunday, though far-right and nationalist opponents saw strong gains. France's Emmanuel Macron, who has staked his presidency on persuading Europeans that the EU is the answer to the challenges of an uncertain, globalizing world economy, took a personal hit when his centrist movement was edged into second place by Marine Le Pen's anti-immigration, anti-Brussels national rally. So immediately, kind of what you see here is just the way that they really talk about or frame the conservative viewpoint. They immediately call it far right as if it's a fringe group, and nationalist. And then down here they describe it as being anti-immigration, which is immediately kind of this word speak where it's kind of trying to paint really any sort of right wing or even centrist movement as being kind of hating of immigrants, just in the implications of how it's written. Far right as if it's a fringe group of extremists, which it's really not. I mean, this is like, these people are just people who want to focus on their country. They're people who say, why are we letting migrants into our countries when we can't even take care of our own 6 million unemployed people? And then as we see in like Lauren Southern's documentary Borderless, that looks like was being censored by YouTube. I'm not going to say it was, but it really looks like it was, kind of diving into that same topic, and where you hear a lot of the same thing. And she's on the ground reporting, talking to migrants, talking to border officials, as they're talking to everybody, but particularly the migrants as they're kind of making their journey from their homeland to Europe. That even they're coming into the country, they really did not find, in many cases, what they were looking for. They come to France, for example, and find out, well, there are no jobs in France, really. Maybe I should have stayed at home. And so to kind of see this kind of like calling it anti-immigration, well, it's not anti-immigration. These, that's not true at all. These people, it's not that these people hate immigrants, because they don't. They want to focus on their own countries and helping out their own citizens who are poor and living on the streets, because they feel like that's their first duty, because those people are their fellow citizens, before they start to turn around and say, okay, well, let's help these other people out. And, these people just get called racist. They get called fringe groups, but that's not true. I don't think that, I think it's easy to point to your opponent and say, oh, this person's evil, when you disagree with them. But the fact of the matter is that these people, as these, migrants are coming into these countries, well, it's like, okay, now we have all these migrants in our country, but we not only do our own people not have jobs, but now these migrants don't have jobs. And so really what we've done is we've blown up the unemployment rate. And it's kind of like, well, okay, now what are we going to do? Because we have this huge deficit in our country of people versus people not working. And it's kind of created the situation where the people are going to be even more frustrated now, because a lot of government resources are going to now be funneled out to the migrants. And so it's like, okay, I guess this is how things are now. And it's a little sad, because you start to see kind of, when you start to develop more multicultural societies, you kind of start to lose the essence of some of these nations. Like, for example, in Lauren's documentary, she talks about Ireland, and some of the officials and some of the natives who live in Ireland point out that not that they're anti-immigration, that they thought that these people were actual migrants in need of help, and they were open to that, and they were very open to that. But quickly what they found is that their country was kind of started flooded inundated with all of these people, and they kind of, which they weren't really told about in this one town, would happen. And now they're kind of walking down their streets, and they're seeing their own people on these streets, and they're seeing people who are migrants from other countries kind of in these hotels and things like that. And they're finding that, well, I'm not sure that we did the right thing here. But they're afraid to speak about it because they know that whenever they say anything, the press will go after them, politicians will go after them and call them racist, call them, all of these nasty things, when that's not really what they're trying to say. And so it's a little sad that you're kind of being held hostage by political correctness in a lot of these cases where you really just can't say anything. And not only is that, and the thing that creeps me out is that it's not only happening in Ireland or Europe, it's happening in America, in Canada, and all of these other places around the globe, in Australia. And it's kind of like, well, why is this all happening at once at the same time in all of these westernized countries, where everybody's just kind of like, okay, let's invite everybody in. And I think that's why you just saw, and we'll get to that story in a second, that Italy had a huge win with their conservative party. So did France with Le Pen's party winning over there. And there was another group, Britain. It's looking like we're going to have a repeat of that in Britain, with Theresa May declaring that she's going to step down as the prime minister. And a lot of what you're seeing is that, well, no, this is what happens when you kind of press the people and tell them that they're racist for wanting to take care of their own people. It's created this kind of crazy, toxic, politically correct. People can't have real conversations about anything anymore because they're afraid of being called something that they're not trying to be. You're seeing this uprising of people who are like, all right, that's enough. We want our country back. We want our land back. And not even from the migrants, from the politicians who kind of went rogue and said, oh, no, this is this is what's best for everybody. So, yeah. And so so that's really what we're seeing here, is the conversations spreading on these very same topics. And it's really just the framing from sites like Reuters that kind of are upsetting. It's not that, I mean, you could talk however you want to, I suppose, but it's very clearly framed in such a way where these right wingers, just for wanting those simple things, are considered to be evil, or written down as if they're kind of bad people, which they're really not. And so, yeah, here we see that the Green Party actually did pretty well in these elections. And so it looks like the kind of nationalist movement has about a one-third of the seats across the victories that we've seen this far. So while it's not enough to kind of really sway the direction of the European Union, we are seeing a big resurgence of real conservatism. And so I hope that that can lead us to start seeing some real change in Brussels, because it will have some impact, which I think is hopeful for a lot of people. And yeah, so that's all we have for today, guys. I'll see you in the next one. If you guys liked the video, be sure to smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, and hit the bell icon so that you're notified the next time we post a video that goes live. And also feel free to comment, because every comment that you leave lets YouTube know that, okay, well, this is a video that has a lot of engagement. We should share it with more people. And yeah, so see you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.